Hello, Abigail here with the Tarotscopes for Pisces season, Taurus sun, moon, and rising. So, my Taurus humans, this is a really intense season. So, firstly, we all know Saturn's been in Pisces for a hot second. That adds to that because we're going through all these Saturn conjunctions. And also, Mars stations direct on the 23rd. Also, side note, I have a video that has kind of a longer explanation of all this, but I really feel, especially with how many important things are going on in this season, that we need to talk about this. Mars stations direct on the 23rd. We enter into Pisces season on the 18th, so we have 5 days in Pisces season, then Mars is direct. Don't forget the shadow period, and Mars moves pretty slowly, so we got a bit more time with Mars in Cancer in the energy of this, retrograde cycle. But know that there is some relief on the horizon, which I am super happy about. Then we have that new moon in Pisces. Venus stations retrograde on the 1st of March. Excuse me. A few days later, Mercury enters Aries. Mercury enters Aries, and then we have that total lunar eclipse in Virgo, which is trine to Taurus. And it's a doozy, so just know. And also, this is a partial eclipse season, so we have the first eclipse in Pisces season, and the final eclipse will be in Aries season on the 29th of March. This is also another big, intense moment. But Mars will be direct. However, it'll be the same Mars by degree that we had back in that full moon in Aries. So let that percolate. Think about what was going on then, because there is a big, important correlation between new and full moons in the same sign. And this is like an extra layer to that. Then we also have Mercury stationing retrograde on the, I want to say the 15th. And then we go into Aries season on the 20th. Obviously, there's a lot of stuff that happens in between. These are just the major moments. And they're going to be a lot. And I know because I am also a Taurus. You're like, a lot? What do you mean a lot? That's not what I signed up for. And also, it's already been a lot. But yeah, we have a lot going on. And no, nothing is really majorly happening on our sign besides the sextiles that we're going to be getting with the planet. Well, I shouldn't say that. Sextiles we're getting with the planets, but also that sextile with Uranus and the North Node is really pulling out some intense themes for us. It doesn't feel progressive, but it is progressive. I'm talking to myself with this. I'm like, no, it doesn't feel progressive. What are we talking about? It is progressive. We are being pulled into the future, maybe a little faster than we'd like to go, which is typical for us as a fixed earth sign. We don't want to go always with speed. I have a lot of mutable energy, so it's always a fight. But, a lot's going on. These eclipses are going to pull us and move us into places that we aren't expecting, and it's going to really throw us for a loop. Um, as always, it's nothing to be scared about, but I do think, considering cards, I do think encouragement is in order to hang in there, to trust yourself, to do what you believe is right. And, you have to believe that your intention is enough. Obviously, we need to be empathetic, we need to be kind. I'm not telling you to bulldoze everyone in your path, but it is important to be true to yourself. I do love our oracle card as I'm like, oh, the cards are so difficult. We do have an ancestral card, which I'm excited about. Um, so our Oracle card, which is from the Lost Oracle by Fiona Horn, if you're interested in that, I have been ogling these cards for a while. I like to think about it because a lot of times if I jump into buying decks, they tend to not be for me, and then I have to regift them. But I love this deck. This is Ancestral Alchemy Conjure Your Legacy. I also think whenever we're talking about ancestors, we're talking about multi layers. So, this is a moment where we are 100% becoming the ancestors that we deserved, becoming the ancestors that those that follow deserve. And it's also about connecting to our ancestors now. So, there's a lot to do in this season. I don't think there's a lot that we can make happen, but we can do a lot with our practice. We can do a lot with our energy when it comes to pouring into things that bring us life and joy. And part of that for me is my spiritual practice and my ancestral practice and really hanging in there. I've been through some rough stuff recently, and I don't always have consistent communication with ancestors. It's usually intense moments. It's like most relationships, actually. Um, and they've come in clutch for me, and I really appreciate that. They've been a huge support and comfort, and it's been good to have them on my team and to have them, comforting and uplifting me and holding me when I feel really unstable and unsure of the future. So, in this season where I think we're also going to continue to feel really unstable and unsure of the future, and also to recognize that our ruler Venus is going retrograde in Aries. So we're going to be under duress. Scorpio and Aries has been underneath the heel of a retrograde. Jupiter was retrograde. All those signs were struggling and dealing with it earlier. Saturn was retrograde, so it's our turn, us in Libra. And then Gemini and Virgo are going to get it in the teeth with that Mercury retrograde. So a lot's happening. I don't think we're going to get a whole lot done by our own merit, which I know, deeply frustrating. We want to do the thing and to be known for doing the thing. So it's time to focus on your legacy. It's time to focus on what you leave behind, even as you progress forward. It's time to build these relationships with ancestors in order to become the ancestor that not only you deserve, but people who will call on you when it is your time to be an ancestor deserve. Um, it's time to see ourselves as more than just finite creatures and to see the value and the longevity of our legacy and to really feed into what we want that to be. And I want to make an important note, all ancestors have their flaws, all ancestors have their quirks. It is what actually makes us ancestors and good ancestors is, our differences and the things that we struggle with or the things that we struggle to accept. Those lessons help make us better at helping others when they go through those same issues. So it's not for nothing, even if it's not great. Um, but yeah, really tap into ancestry and who you are and what you want to be and where you want to go and what you want your legacy to be. What do you want to leave behind for others? What do you want to be known for? What comfort do you want to be able to bring to people when they need it? That all starts in the living, even if it continues into the dead. Um, so really think about that and connect to ancestors if you can. They are waiting for us. All of my ancestors have been waiting for the right time to come forward. And if you're new to ancestral practice, there is usually a primary ancestor waiting who is very excited to meet you. And maybe their excitement doesn't manifest in them clapping their hands and dancing around, but they're excited that they've been waiting for you to contact them. So contact them this Pisces season and believe in yourself as an energetic force, as an ancestor, as someone who has something to say and do and bring goodness into this world, whether it is in this moment or in the future or beyond, the veil. We start off with a card, which I'm like, well, at least you know where I'm at. It's the Ten of Wands. It's been hard for fixed signs. Not that there's technically anything major going on in fixed signs, but because all of the other stuff is happening in other signs that do not function the way that we function, we are being pushed and pulled. We are being stretched. We are being, um, we're living in energy that is not native to us. Can it be hard to have squares and trines and especially squares, with our own, kind of fixed energy group? Yes, but it is energy we are familiar with. And when energy is everywhere but a fixed sign, we are forced to work with energy that we don't really translate well with. We might in other places, but with the sun, it's a fight because we're like, well, at least I know the devil that is fixed sign energy. But then we get slapped in the face with mutable and cardinal energy, and we're like, leave me alone. What are you doing? Um, so yeah, allow yourself to feel this. Allow yourself to just accept that you are in a Ten of Wands moment, that you are burnt out and tired. And don't pressure yourself to do anything. There's nothing in these cards here that say do something. With the exception of one, and I think it's more of an internal initiation rather than an external one, if that makes any sense. So allow yourself to just be in a Ten of Wands moment, especially at the beginning of Pisces season, especially as Mars stations direct. It's going to be difficult. It's, like taking something that's going really fast one direction and making it move back the other way and head back through stuff we've already dealt with. Um, so yeah, just let yourself be burnt out. Admit that you're burnt out. There's no shame in being burnt out in a world that intentionally strips us of everything that is beautiful. There's no shame of being exhausted in a world that intentionally exhausts us so that we don't have the ability to fight, so we don't have the ability to celebrate, so we don't have the ability to take care of ourselves. And then when they've wrung us out and stripped us of everything that they think is valuable, they will try to get rid of us. I know that very much as a disabled person, and even if you're not disabled, being in burnout is a form of disability. Um, and if you are disabled, you know very well that once they have taken everything they can from you, they will try to take more and then they will try to get rid of you. And that's currently actually what's happening um, with them trying to get rid of 504. And yes, I do talk about politics here because everything is political. Um, but it's okay for you to feel stripped and exhausted and depleted. And the only way you're going to get that back is by going against the grain, by being anti capitalist, and by resting and by valuing your rest. Yes, and once again, talking to myself because my partner literally just said to me today that I need to stop being guilty about resting. So don't be guilty about resting. You deserve it. And it's also, rest is not something that you work for. Rest is not something that you earn. Rest is an innate right that exists because you are a soul. Period, full stop. And animals know this, but they're also, under our toe too. Anyways, next card, the World. It's going to be something. This eclipse season is going to be bringing in a lot of really massive beginnings and endings. It's going to get kicked off with that non-eclipse new moon in Pisces, and we're just going to continue to feel that energy rise and build into that full moon in Virgo, and then into that new moon in Aries and Aries season. So buckle up. There's not much we can do except trust. And I think I said this in the Pisces reading, but I had an aura reading recently, and the message for me was radical trust. And I think that's something that we can, especially with kind of how non-action oriented these cards are. This World card is about radical trust. It's about trusting the universe. It's about trusting our path ahead. It's about trusting the work that we have already done and believing that it is good and valuable work and that it means something and that we don't constantly have to be producing a product or creating something to have done what is necessary. We've done everything we need to do, and now the universe in this eclipse season is taking over and guiding us and leading us towards the things that are best for us. And maybe we're going to struggle a little bit to trust, and maybe we're going to struggle a little bit to rest, but it is very much out of our hands this eclipse season, and it's important to not hold ourselves responsible for every single thing that happens to us because that's just not how it works. That's one of the reasons I don't believe in soul contracts. um, it's just not how it works. There's no you signed up for all of the pain and suffering that has happened to you. That's not a thing. You deserve to be loved. You deserve to have rest. You deserve to be held. You deserve to have joy. You deserve to have a roof over your head and food in your stomach and clean water and education and healthcare and everything that you have, done, whether you are able to work or not. There's a form of disability in the US. I think it's SSID or something, where you only get to pull from it if you've worked a certain amount. That is not how real life works. You deserve care regardless of how much work you have given to society. Um, and that's not how a true society works. You're not an object. If in a healthy society, you are innately integral, whether you can walk or labor or give back or not. Your sheer existence is beyond anything that they could manufacture in a factory or in one of their think tanks. So allow the world to happen. Allow these huge cycles to begin and end. It's going to be overwhelming, but know that you don't need to do anything to make that happen. And know that when it does happen, you don't need to do anything to stop it or to start it. It is what it is. Moving to one of the only action cards I see here, and by action, up for debate, we have the Knight of Cups, or I think in this deck, the Son of Cups. Yeah. It's time to pour into ourselves. If you are going to take action into caring for yourself. Take action into listening to your emotion and your body and your needs, and taking that time to spend a moment with your body and spend a moment with your feelings and your mind and your heart and all the different parts of self. and really get in touch with your needs and listen to what your body needs. I know it's hard because I think a lot of us know subconsciously, whether we've accepted it consciously or not yet. We all know on a certain level that if we truly listened to what our body needed, we would not be able to survive in this system. And I think there is a way to live more authentically and still survive to a certain degree, but that recognition makes it more unbearable. But that discomfort and that lack of being able to survive the system is how we get free of it. We have to get to a point where we no longer accept it, even to our own detriment in the system. And that's how we change it. So be brave. Recognize that you were not meant for this. Recognize that you were not built to be a wage slave. Recognize that there's so much more to life than working till you're too disabled or too old to work anymore. And then, you know, very few of my generation are going to get to retire in the sense of retirement, but it's still, you're being robbed to sell your life away for a certain number of years. So when you're right on the edge of not being able to do anything, you get free time. Wild scam. Yeah, listen to yourself. Start to live as well as you can with the restrictions that you have in a way that is authentic to you as a creature in a creature's body. With a creature soul, with a creature mind. Start listening to things you need instinctually. Try to find ways to support yourself in the system that intentionally does not support you. And that in and of itself is a form of resistance, is a form of liberation and freedom. And that is really the message of a healthy Son of Cups. So do that. Feed into yourself. If you, which you're not going to be able to, since you're not going to be able to do a whole lot of external action, really get in touch with your needs this Pisces season, even if it's scary. And last but not least, we do have a Seven of Swords. Not everything is as it seems. So don't be jumping to do things until you have all the information you need. There's going to be some sneaky people. Pay attention to what people do and what they say and see if they match up. You know, if they are doing behaviors that do not match up with what they say, or if they're saying things that don't match up to their behaviors, be suspicious. Also, there's like kind of unintentional sneakiness. I think there's going to be a lot of situations that arise where you just don't have all the information you need, and that's okay. Just don't act on it. I think follow the lesson of this fox. Just observe, just watch and wait and see how things pan out before you jump to do anything. And see if the promises and the agreements and the things that you've made with other people and the contracts, see if they're going to follow through on them. And then if they do or don't, base your behavior off of that rather than trying to preempt it, which is something a lot of fixed signs like to do. They like to make sure that things don't go wrong. And last but not least, going back to why I've kind of been like, we're not going to be doing much, we have the Hanged Man or the Hanged One, which I prefer the Hanged One. We don't have a whole lot of ability to activate stuff this season. The universe is fully at the wheel of this and driving us to where we need to be. And so take this time to rest. And know that in the moments where you feel helpless, remember this Hanged One. And remember that it's okay to just sit and observe. And sometimes we don't need to act in order for things to happen. Also, kind of rewinding all the way to the beginning, not all the way to the beginning, but close to the beginning, you've already done so much work. Let that work for you, please. And, if we are going to go all the way to the beginning, do you want those who come after you to constantly hold themselves overly accountable for stuff, to constantly blame themselves for things not happening or working out, to constantly be working themselves into the ground? And very likely you don't. So think of yourself as the people who come after us. What do you wish for them? And then wish it for yourself. Believe that you deserve what the future deserves. And believe that you also deserve support and care. And that, since we're sitting in this, we might as well enjoy ourselves and have a snack and take a nap. And I know we often are like, I'm not only the snacky person. And unfortunately, the older I get, the more I'm like, no, Tauruses definitely love a good snack and delicious food and comfort and safety and joy. And why should we not? Why should we not want good things for ourselves? Answer that question for me by the next time we have another one of these little get togethers. Anyways, this is my reading for this Pisces season. Just buckle up and take care of yourself as the universe takes us on the ride of our lives. Um, Ask me any questions in the comments. Also, like and subscribe, please. It really helps me out. It makes me feel um, better about things in general. I love you all. Blessed Pisces season, and I will see you in a different space and time.